Hello everyone, welcome to this week on Magic Arena. I'm going to introduce another deck for you, like I do every week, like putting out new decks all the time. This one is a little less competitive than the approach list, although I've been surprised by it recently. I've made some new adjustments to it, and it's super fun to pilot. We have Muldrotha. So if you're not familiar with Muldrotha, Muldrotha the Gravetide. During each of your turns, you can play up to one permanent card of each permanent type from your graveyard. I like this card in a lot of ways because it's super fun. It gets really, really zany when you are recurring things like Traveler's Amulets and Evolving Wilds over and over to thin your deck fast and draw extra cards. You can get back enchantments with, Time and Ice or the Eldest Reborn and all those kinds of things. You can even get back Planeswalkers, creatures. It just becomes this snowball of value over time. It's very, very hard for an opponent to let a Muldrotha stay in play for a couple turns and actually have any chance of winning the game. So the thing with Muldrotha that's also fun is that right now it's hard to have a complete collection. You're not generally going to be able to make every deck that you want. It's still in beta, and most people aren't spending a ton of money on the game to make sure that they buy all the cards. And even if you are spending a bunch of money, because of the way that the Magic economy works, it's not 100% that you'll get the cards you want. You are opening vaults and you're opening packs, but you're getting cards at random. And Muldrotha likes you to have a lot of, just kind of random cards. It likes you to have a lot of one-ofs, things that you're just buying back over and over for value. So Muldrotha is kind of a fun little piece of the puzzle right now if you have a bunch of good cards in these colors, but not like full sets of them, and you're going to have a hard time making them. So that's where this deck comes in. We have a lot of ones and two ofs, you'll notice. We have a Carnage Tyrant, we have two Scarab Gods, we have two Lilianas, we have a Karn, we have some Hostage Takers and Ravenous Chupacabras, we have a Thrashing Brontodon and Champion of Wits. So just lots and lots of one-ofs. And the kind of the core of the deck, though, where I think that you really want to spend, if you can, anything at all, is you want to have good ramp and you want to have some good card selection. So I like Chart a Course. Chart a Course is really cool because there's a bunch of things that you can do with it. It's got a few redundancies for getting cards out of your graveyards. We have Muldrotha, but we also have Liliana and Scarab God. So Liliana, the -3 returns a target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And of course, Scarab God does Scarab God things, pulls back things constantly. So you can use Chart a Course to throw away Muldrotha, but then just get it right back with a Liliana or a Scarab God. Or the other way around. You can, throw away your Scarab God if you have Muldrotha in play, and boom, suddenly you get a Scarab God out of your graveyard. So Chart a Course is really, really cool. A lot of the time, I don't even like to attack. It's funny. The attacking is often a downside for Chart a Course in this deck, but that's kind of cool because you're not going to do a whole lot of attacking until you have overwhelming numbers. The other thing that comes in there is Champion of Wits. I wish I had more of them. I'd probably play them if I did because it's just an awesome, awesome card in this. You want to have ways to just dump things into your graveyard constantly. And Champion of Wits certainly does that. So does Search for Azcanta. So those are kind of our things that we're using to just dump right away into our graveyard. Other thing that you need is you need a fair bit of ramp because you're going to want to be able to play Muldrotha as early as possible, and it requires 3 colors, so you're going to need some fixing. We have Drover of the Mighty. If I had enough rares, I would just immediately slam 4 Channeler Initiates. So I would cut as many Drovers as I could to put in 4 Channelers. I might still play 1 Drover. Llanowar Elves is also just awesome. I still really like the Llanowar Elves, even though it doesn't actually fix, it's pretty good. And Grow from the Ashes. I'm not 100% sold on this. It's been really good sometimes and pretty bad others. You can't get it back with Muldrotha because Muldrotha only gets permanents back. But Grow from the Ashes is still just powerful enough and ramps you enough that it's probably worth the include. So I do like Grow from the Ashes a fair bit. The other card that we have here is a one-of is just Orazca Relic. And it's not amazing, but you tend to get a fair number of permanents out because you're putting out a bunch of these early ramp cards, so you're going to get a lot of extra permanents. You'll generally tend to get Ascend soon, and then you can use Orazca Relic to just draw cards, save you a little bit of life because there's a fair number of aggro decks that you have to worry about. And, of course, if you get Muldrotha, then you just can keep playing Orazca Relic, sacrificing it, and continuing to go off that way. And gaining that life back can be really important, because sometimes when you're playing against like a mono-red list, they might have gotten you down really, really low, like to 4, even 3 health or something, by the time that you're getting your Muldrotha and everything kind of churning together. And you're not worried about their board anymore. You have more than enough creatures to stop their board, but you might die to something like a lightning strike. And instead, you can just Orazca Relic and kind of keep recurring your life back so that you're out of range of that. So I do like a 1 of Orazca Relic here as well. Then we have a bunch of removal cards, and I mean a bunch of removal cards. Eldest Reborn is a little bit of removal, and you can recur it back, of course, with our Muldrotha. You also have Ravenous Chupacabra, Hostage Taker. You have the Golden Demise. Might want to put into, it depends on how much aggro you're seeing. I've just recently been testing it, and Cast Down. So, I mean, obviously Cast Down we can't recur, but Ravenous Chupacabra and Hostage Taker are really slow, so they're really amazing. They're way better removal than Cast Down, but they have to be because they're twice the cost. So, a lot of the time, if you have just Ravenous Chupacabras and Hostage Takers, you're going to be dead by the time that they really matter, and against like a mono-red hand. If they've got a really good mono-red deck, you're going to have some Cast Downs or Golden Demise or something. Another thing that you'll notice is that I have this Thrashing Brontodon. I mentioned it earlier. This is kind of some sweet tech. I really, really like the Thrashing Brontodon. I don't think I'd play more than 1, but boy is it awesome. Like, the card's just great. Being able to recur it, there's a lot of very, very relevant artifacts and enchantments in this. There's from all the way from Cast Out to God Pharaoh's Gift, Binding of Ixalan, Search for Azcantas. There are so many things that Thrashing Brontodon hits. History of Benalias, Radiant Destinies. It's just run the gamut of a ton of things to kill, and it's been fantastic. Absolutely amazing. Being able to recur it back with Muldrotha makes it very, very cool. So I like Thrashing Brontodon a lot. You'd have to do a lot to convince me that you shouldn't run one of these. I don't think I'd ever run more than that. But it's just such a sweet card to have with Muldrotha to recur and get incredible value with. I've won more than a couple games just sitting there and every single turn casting a Brontodon out of the grave, sacrificing it to kill something, and then passing again and doing that over and over and over and over until my opponent just quit. Because they had so many things to target with it. In any case, I think the deck's pretty cool. And we're going to run it through a couple of games here and see how it does. It's not a super competitive list, but I'm going to run it through the competitive gamut anyways and just see what happens. We'll run it through one of the quick constructed queues. See you on the other side.